Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man sara ala sabilihi ila yawmiddin amma ba'd. So today, inshallah ta'ala, we'll be continuing discussing the book Bulugh al-Maram min Adillat al-Ahkam by Hafiz ibn Ḥajar al-ʿAsqalānī rahimahullah. And as we mentioned before, that this particular book, that it surrounds the topic concerning Hadith al-Ahkam. So in studying of fiqh, but using the method regarding using a hadith as the matan to study fiqh. And the second method of studying of fiqh is using concerning the mutun al-fiqhiyya from the various madhahib amongst Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. So this particular book, as we had stated before in the introduction, that we had covered certain matters regarding, in the last introduction, matters pertaining to the life of Ibn Ḥajar rahimahullah in brief. Then also we discussed concerning matters relating to the book. And today, inshallah ta'ala, that and also we had covered regarding the introduction that is mentioned by Ibn Ḥajar rahimahullah. So Ibn Ḥajar, when he opened this book with an introduction, so we read through the introduction, that in brief, as a brief review, that he started with the praise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also sending the salutation upon the Prophet Islam. And also he mentioned that this book is a muqtasar that comprised of ahadith al-ahkam. So this is a muqtasar that comprised of ahadith al-ahkam. And after ulama have mentioned that regarding concerning this particular book, Bulugh al-Maram, that is a condensed Ibn Ḥajar, that is an abridgment of another book by Ibn Daqiq al-Eid. So Ibn Daqiq al-Eid, he had several books in ahadith al-ahkam, of one called al-Ilmam, that Ibn Ḥajar rahimahullah, that he condensed that particular book of Ibn Daqiq al-Eid, and this is the book that is called Bulugh al-Maram. Then also he mentioned regarding Ibn Ḥajar in his introduction, after that he mentioned regarding concerning matters pertaining to that this particular work is something that it is meant for to be memorized. And as we have stated, that this book, that it was of the intention when he wrote this book is for his son Muhammad to memorize this book. Then also and also by others who asked him to put together this book. And also he mentioned that this is a book that it is something that the talib al-ilm, the one who's beginning in studying of knowledge, for him to memorize, and also something that can be benefited from those people who are more advanced. Then he mentioned that is certain terminologies that he had mentioned that he used in this book repeatedly, and of those he clarified those terminologies. So he mentioned as-sab'a, that what is intended by the word as-sab'a mean the seven, that he mentioned that is intended, as he clarified, Ahmed in his book al-Musnad, Bukhari in his Sahih, Muslim in his Sahih, Abu Dawood, Nasa'i, Tirmidhi, or Ibn Majah. So these are referred to as sab'a. These are seven of the collectors of hadith. Then he mentioned also another terminology that he used as as-sitta. So as-sitta meaning those of those seven, removal with the exclusion of Ahmed in his Musnad. So it would what will remain Bukhari, Muslim, Abu Dawood, Tirmidhi, Nasa'i, wa Ibn Majah. So these are kutub as-sitta. Then also he mentioned of another terminology that he used, al-khamsa, which would be with Ahmed, Abu Dawood, Tirmidhi, Nasa'i, and Ibn Majah. Those are al-khamsa. Then he mentioned also al-thalatha. What he means by thalatha, it would be Abu Dawood, Tirmidhi, wa Nasa'i. So al-thalatha, when he mentioned thalatha, there are three collectors. He intend by this Abu Dawood, al-Tirmidhi, and also al-Nasa'i, with the exclusion of Ibn Majah. Then he mentioned also al-muttafiqun alayhi, which is al-Bukhari and Muslim. So regarding concerning, so these are the terminology that he mentioned that will be used in this book. And also if others are mentioned, then other collectors are mentioned or referenced, that he will mention them specifically. Then he mentioned that he have named this book Samituhu Bulugh al-Maram min Adillat al-Ahkam. So that's concerning brief regarding concerning the introduction of what he opened this book with as his introduction, in clarifying the intent of the book and the praise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also the terminologies that he'll be using. So today we'll be starting with Kitab al-Taharah. So he divides the book into different chapters or different books. That's the tradition that is done by the ulama of hadith. So they call Kitab al-Taharah, that discuss concerning matter that relates to Taharah, that will cover concerning, as he mentioned in the first Kitab Bab Miyah, matter that relates to Miyah, and other things will be covered in this particular book that is called Kitab al-Taharah, the book of purification. So the method is that we'll read a hadith in Arabic and also in English, and then we'll go on to explain the hadith or what have been mentioned by the ulama of hadith regarding concerning this particular hadith. So as for the hadith, then the hadith will be read and then we'll go into explaining the hadith. Kitab al-Taharah.
Kitab al-Taharah, the book of purification. Babul Miyah, chapter 1, water. Narrated Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Qala Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, regarding the sea, its water is tahur, purifying, and its dead animals are lawful to eat. Al-Arba'ah. And Ibn Abi Shayba reported it. The wording is from the latter. Ibn Khuzaymah and At-Tirmidhi graded it Sahih, authentic. Malik al-Shafi'i and Ahmad also reported it.
Aywa, so that's, so you mentioned regarding concerning this particular hadith regarding, as you mentioned or state here, that one you mentioned, an Abi Hurairah radiyallahu anhu قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في البر هو تهور ماؤه حل ميتته أخرجه الأربعة وابن أبي شيبة ولفله وصححه ابن خزيمة والترمذي. And as mentioned it also that others are mentioned regarding al-ma'a. So that's concerning what is mentioned in this particular print. So what is mentioned in this particular print is as we have read. So it stopped at صححه ابن خزيمة والترمذي. So that's concerning the print of Zuhair rahimahullah, Zuhairi regarding Bulugh al-Maram. Then others include others regarding Malik and Ahmed and other books of hadith. So regarding concerning the hadith that we'll discuss concerning most of those who have done editing of this book, that they have authenticated hadith will mention in Zuhairi, Sahih, Rawahu Abu Dawood, and he mentioned these different sources that were mentioned by Ibn Ḥajar al-ḥAskalaní. So that's concerning this particular hadith that is mentioned. So as for what can be stated regarding this particular hadith, that a Sheikh in another print of this book, that of Sheikh Mahir, that again concern that he mentioned regarding concerning that again the hadith as stated there, أخرجه أربعة. So he mentioned the meaning of the hadith as mentioned of those things that some of the ulama have mentioned regarding this hadith mentioned, and Abi Hurairah رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله عليه السلام في البحر. So he mentioned regarding water. Then this point, this is something that the author Ibn Hajar that he included. So it is not a part of the hadith. When he mentioned قال رسول الله عليه السلام في البحر, the Prophet ﷺ, so this part في البحر is something which he, the author Ibn Hajar, included, is not a part of the hadith. But he mentioned this as a form of to clarify this that this hadith is related to matters pertaining to al-Bahr, the ocean. So also, and that is mentioned by Ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah tabarak ta'ala, that stated that fil bahr is not a part of the hadith. Also regarding what he mentioned regarding the hadith, that we'll discuss the hadith regarding first a takhrij of the hadith, or the first thing to be discussed regarding concerning the Sahabi who's Abu Hurairah. So regarding concerning the and this they mentioned concerning that Abu Hurairah anhu, that is the one who have stated this particular hadith. But the ulama mentioned by Ibn Abdul Barr and other of the ulama that regarding concerning the name of Abu Hurairah, that there's a lot of difference between the ulama regarding his name. So the ulama stated that there's a difference regarding the name of the Sahabi who have narrated the hadith, who's Abu Hurairah. So the difference in the ulama, you have many names that have been put forward. So they disagree regarding his actual first name, and also they disagree regarding his father's name. But Ibn Abdul Barr and many of the ulama that they have somewhat concluded are more inclined toward that his name, that is Abdul Rahman ibn Sakhr ad-Dawsi. Abdul Rahman ibn Sakhr ad-Dawsi. So you find that many of the ulama are more inclined towards his name being Abdul Rahman ibn Sakhr ad-Dawsi. And Dawsi from the tribe of, that's a tribe that is from al-Yemen. So they mentioned regarding, so that's concerning of those things that have been mentioned, regarding concerning that the other name that also, that is mentioned as his name, it is Abdullah. So other of his name is Abdullah. So that's concerning of those names that are mentioned. So Ibn Abdul Barr, in his book Isti'ab, that is more inclined that the name of Abu Hurairah is either Abdul Rahman or Abdullah. As for the other names that are mentioned, he more inclined towards these two. As for his name, and that's his name after Islam. They mention his name before Islam in Jahiliyyah. Also a lengthy discussion that some mention that his name was Abdul Shams. So they mention that his name before Islam was Abdul Shams. But there's a discussion regarding his name in Islam and also before Islam. Also regarding Abu Hurairah anhu, that is stated that he accepted Islam, that is referred to as Abu Huraira. That is referred to as Abu Huraira, and is more popular and well known more so for his name or his kunya of Abu Huraira. As for the ulama, they discuss concerning that who's the person who gave him this name. It is stated that the history behind why he is referred to as such, that he was somewhat very fond of kittens. He was fond of kittens, and so because of this, that his father named him Abu Huraira. So his father named him Abu Huraira, or gave him this kunya. And also some narrations, it mentioned that also, that the Prophet ﷺ also, ﷺ, that also gave him this kunya of Abu Huraira because of his fondness, and that he would play, that he liked to play with cats. So that's concerning the reason behind of his name, of this kunya of Abu Huraira. As for Abu Hurairah anhu, that it is stated that he accepted Islam in the 9th year, he accepted Islam al-Khaybar, in the of Khaybar. And Khaybar, as for this particular year of Khaybar, that ulama, that the majority of the ulama take the view that it was under the 7th year of the Hijrah. The 7th year of the Hijrah was when al-Khaybar occurred. Some mention the 6th, but majority are more inclined regarding concerning that being the 7th year of the Hijrah. As for Abu Hurairah anhu, that was known for, as mentioned by some of the ulama, known to be a person concerning fatwa, is considered to be Rawi al-Islam, is referred to as the Rawi al-Islam, the one who's narrator of Islam. And the reason for this is because amongst his companions, he has narrated the most hadith. So Abu Hurairah anhu, amongst the companions, that he have narrated most of the hadith. So he's of those who, regarding narration of hadith, that he stands as the number 1 narrator of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. So he's known as the Rawi al-Islam. Also Abu Hurairah anhu, as mentioned, that a person of fatwa, a person of ibadah, and that Abu Hurairah anhu, at some point then, in the time of the Khilafah of Omar, that he appoint him as the Amir, the leader, or the person who was the governor of Bahrain. Omar al-Khattab, that he appointed him, then he removed him, then in wanting to replace him, then he declined, Abu Hurairah, that he declined this appointment. Then he settled in Medina, where he died, and he was buried in Baqiyah, and it is said that the one who prayed over him is Walid ibn Utbah, ibn Abi Sufyan, that he was the then Amir over Medina, so he led the Salat, the Janazah Salat of Abu Hurairah anhu. As for when he died, then it is stated a khilaf between the ulama, but of them who mentioned that he died 57, 58 and 59 al-Hijri. So of the ulama who mentioned 57, the year 57th, the year the 58 and the year the 59th of the Hijrah, that have been discussed as to the year that he died, rada'ala anhu. So that's concerning Abu Hurairah. So Abu Hurairah, as mentioned, a Sahabi. And in continue regarding, as we'll discuss concerning the Sahaba, who said to be a Sahaba. So we kind of somewhat mentioned now at this point, to start in clarifying who said to be a Sahaba. So the ulama have clarified regarding a person is deemed as a Sahaba if they comply with 3 conditions. 1, man laqi Nabi alayhi salam, the person who have met the Prophet alayhi salam, wa amana bi, and the person believed in him, and also the person mata ala Islam, and the person that he died upon Islam. So anyone who fulfill these 3 conditions, that they met the Prophet alayhi salam, so they physically met the Prophet alayhi salam, whether that meeting was for a short time span or it lasted for a while, or they only saw him from a distance, then this is said to have met the Prophet ﷺ. And that's one of the conditions of a Sahabi. The second is that a person, amana bi, that a person that he believed in the Prophet ﷺ as being a prophet and that he came with Islam. And third, that that individual, that also he died upon Islam. So the person that upon his death, that he died as a Muslim, then he said to be a Sahabi if he fulfill all these 3 conditions. So that's concerning a Sahabi, and the general position of Ahl-Sunnah wal Jama'ah, Ahl-Hadith wal Athar, is that they have love and reverence for the Sahaba. And they see all the Sahaba as being people who are udul, that they are credible narrators of Hadith, that they are credible narrators of Hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. So that's concerning that matter regarding Abu Hurairah, and also matters regarding the Sahaba in brief. The next point that we'll discuss, that he mentioned the Hadith, he mentioned akhrajahu arba. So al-arba, meaning Abu Dawud in his Sunan, at-Tirmidhi in his Jami', Nasa'i in his book al-Mujtaba, and also Ibn Majah in As-Sunan. Then also he mentioned Ibn Abi Shaybah. وَلَفْ لَهُ. Then he mentioned also that the hadith is narrated by Ibn Abi Shaybah in his book. So Ibn Abi Shaybah rahimahullah, that also one of the collected ulama of hadith, and is Al-Hafiz, Al-Imam, Abi Bakr, Abdullah ibn Muhammad, ibn Ibrahim, ibn Abi Shaybah. So that's concerning the name of Ibn Abi Shaybah, one of the collectors of hadith, and one of the ulama of Islam, and he's said to be the sheikh of the likes of Imam Bukhari, Imam Muslim, and others. So he's the sheikh of the likes of Imam Bukhari, Muslim, and others. Ibn Abi Shaybah rahimahullah, as he mentioned, that this wording of the hadith is from him, is from his collection of hadith. So he has a book that is called al-Musannif. So he has a book that is called al-Musannif. And these type of books of hadith, this type of book of hadith, where the author, who have approached, the approach of the author of this book is to collect matter regarding fiqh-related matters coming from using hadith wal athar. So gathering concerning a hadith regarding different points regarding matters of fiqh. Also, he will cover so using a hadith and also aqwal of the Sahaba and the Tabi'een. So that's concerning this book. So the wording of this hadith is in Ibn Abi Shaybah. That when we go back to this particular hadith in the book of Ibn Abi Shaybah regarding concern that he mentioned regarding in this particular print, he mentioned Man rakhasa fil wudu bil ma' al bar. Man rakhasa, the one who will give an allowance for one to perform wudu using sea water. Then he mentioned at the end, the last, he mentioned from this hadith and also some of the statements of the Salaf regarding this particular matter. And amongst them, he end the final hadith he mentioned according to this particular print is hadith Imam with Isnad 1401. 1401, and this is the print of Ibn Rushd. It is the print of Ibn al-Rushd. He mentioned regarding with his Isnad that he mentioned that يقول قال رسول الله السلام البحر tahur ma'uhu, the ocean, it is pure, is water, halalu maytatuhu, halalu maytatuhu. So that's concerned the wording of Ibn Abi Shaybah. So as he mentioned, you're concerned that he mentioned this wording is from Ibn Abi Shaybah, that the hadith that is mentioned Abu Hurairah anhu in Ibn Abi Shaybah, the wording is somewhat a little bit slight different, but the word of mention halalu, not hillu. So he mentioned the word hillu, but the actual wording in Ibn Abi Shaybah is halalu, not hillu. That word that is mentioned, the wording that he mentioned, that Ibn Abi Shaybah is a different, slight difference in the wording. So something to bear in mind. Then also he mentioned regarding concerning hadith that have been authenticated by Ibn Khuzaymah and also at-Tirmidhi. Also Ibn Ḥajar rahimahullah, that he has another book that will do concerning takhrij of the hadith. So this hadith also is collected Ibn Ḥajar rahimahullah in his book At-Talkhis al-Habir. When he mentioned this hadith with the hadith number 1 in the book Talkhis al-Habir, he mentioned huwa tuhur ma'uhu, that he mentioned regarding concerning the hadith mentioned Malik in the book of Muwatta, Imam Shafi in his book Al-Musnad, Al-Arba, Ibn Khuzaymah in his Sahih, Ibn Hibban in his Sahih, Ibn Jarud in his book Muntaqa, Al-Hakim in Al-Mustadrak, Ad-Daraqutni in his Sunan, Al-Bayhaqi in his Sunan, Wasahahu. That's concerning of those who have narrated the hadith. So those are the ones who have narrated the hadith. Then he started to discuss concerning, as mentioned here, Sahahu Bukhari, Fima Hakahu Anhu at-Tirmidhi. So regarding concern, that's concerning what he mentioned regarding those who have narrated this hadith. So he mentioned the hadith regarding, we mentioned Huwa Tahur Ma'ahu in Ibn Abi Shaybah in his Musannif, what he has Al-Bahru At-Tahuru Ma'huhu. So still a slight difference regarding the wording that is mentioned in Ibn Abi Shaybah from what he mentions here. And he mentioned Wal Halalu Maytatuhu, that's narration in Ibn Abi Shaybah, not exactly the word that is mentioned here by Ibn Ḥajar al-ʿAsqalānī rahimahullah. So as for concern the ulama regarding authentic concern the discussion between this hadith, that you find that between the ulama there is a discussion regarding the hukum upon this hadith. There's a discussion between the ulama regarding the hukum of this particular hadith. So you find that many of the ulama have authenticated hadith, and is mentioned by in Badr al-Taman by al-Maghribi, that he mentioned a list of the name of the ulama who have authenticated this particular hadith. But amongst those who have authenticated hadith, that you have the likes of Imam al-Bukhari, who have authenticated hadith, as mentioned by at-Tirmidhi, his student. Also of those at-Tirmidhi also have authenticated hadith by mentioned hadith, Hasan al-Sahih. Also Ibn Khuzaymah also have authenticated hadith. Also Ibn Hibban have authenticated hadith. And also Ibn Munzir also authenticated hadith. And others who have authenticated hadith that they have mentioned, others who have authenticated Bayhaqi, ad-Daraqutni, who have authenticated hadith. So that's concerning al-Nawawi, Ibn Manda, and also Ibn Ḥajar, and also that we find of contemporaries who have authenticated hadith, who have Shaykh al-Albani, and also Shuhaib Arnaut. So of those who have authenticated hadith of contemporary, Shaykh al-Albani, and also Shaykh Shuhaib Arnaut, that also have authenticated hadith. So that's concerning of those who authenticated hadith. Then you have a group amongst the ulama who somewhat hold the hadith to be daif. And they mentioned that the reason that they hold that, there's 4 reasons that they are put forward why those who take the position the hadith is daif. They mentioned that one, the hadith, there's a khilaf between some of the narrators regarding who's the narrator. After the hadith, throughout that, they mentioned they are majhul. Then they mentioned also the hadith is mursal. They said also ittirab, and that not naming, that being able to identify exactly who some of the narrators they have, that they mentioned regarding those 4 reasons. But overall, those who are saying the hadith, they have responded to that. But also of those who generally hold the hadith to be daif, you have Imam Shafi, as mentioned by al-Bayhaqi, Ibn Abdul Barr, also at-Tahawi, and Ibn Daqiq al-Eid, and also Ibn Abi Hadi amongst the Hanabila. So of those who hold the hadith to be daif, that those of those who hold the hadith to be daif. Their reason, they said that Sa'id ibn Salama and Mughira ibn Abi Burda, that both of them are majhul, they are not known. Second, they mention regarding Sa'id ibn Salama, they do not know exactly what is his name. And also other factor, they mention the hadith is mursal, as in some narrations, hadith is mentioned mursal. So, and also ittirab. So you have those things that they mentioned regarding why they hold the hadith to be daif. But most of those reasons that have been put forward have been answered by those who hold the hadith to be sahih. So that's concerning the hadith, regarding what have been mentioned regarding the hadith. So as for the next point regarding this particular hadith, that we'll mention regarding concern the ahkam, regarding we mentioned the next point regarding the general benefit that can be taken from the hadith. The general benefit that can be taken from the hadith. Of those regarding this book, Bulugh al-Maram, for those people who are mutawassit, in are even beginners to some extent, but have some background in studies, that offer good explanation is Tawdi' al-Ahkam. Tawdi' al-Ahkam min Bulugh al-Maram by Shaykh al-Bassam. So Shaykh al-Bassam, that in the explanation, he start by with some introductory usul. So he discussed concerning mustalah hadith. So the person have a general idea regarding some of the mustalahat of the ulama of hadith. So they're familiar with certain terminology that will be used in the book. Also he discussed concerning, in brief, overview of usul al-fiqh. So the person who's going to study a book like this, they need to have some understanding of usul al-fiqh to fully benefit, and also qawaid al-fiqh, and also some matter regarding al-qawaid al-fiqhiyya that I mentioned concerning al-khamsa, and also some of the sub-points from those. So it's important regarding the person studying a book like this, on this level, then a person should have some familiarity regarding those 3 sciences. Usul al-hadith, that is referred to as mustalah, usul al-fiqh, and also qawaid al-fiqhiyya. So as for what he mentions here, he mentioned first regarding discussing this hadith, that they mention regarding that the munasiba of this hadith. Why this hadith mentioned, or this particular chapter mentioned first. They mention regarding that, this matter is discussed first amongst the ulama, or in this particular book, and amongst the ulama, as that the author, rahimullah, that regarding Bab al-Taharah, Kitab al-Taharah, and that they mention concerning, as in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, Miftah al-Salat, Tuhur. Miftah al-Salat, Tuhur. That of the commencement of the Salat, of the condition of Salat is Taharah. So the hadith, general meaning concerning that, the Miftah, the person he has in commencing the Salat, that a person should be in a state of Taharah. So of those things that relates to Salah, of cannot this act of ibadah, then a person should be in a state of Taharah, and of those things the person also looking concerning the thing that is used for purification. What are the methods and the ways that a person can purify themselves, and that is the use of water and its related things. So that's concerning. So they started normally as Salat being the second of the Arkan of Islam after Shahada of La ilaha illallah. So the person wish to perform as Salat, then the person have to ensure that certain things are in place. And of those concerning being in a proper state regarding Taharah, and also how to go about performing Taharah and what can be used as a form of Taharah. They mention regarding concerning that of this particular hadith, that what is stated regarding at-Taharah. So of those words they mentioned the general meaning of the hadith, as this hadith is mentioned regarding Taharah, that you have clarified regarding that. Taharah, linguistically, it means nadhafa. Taharah, regarding what it means linguistically, Taharah means nadhafa or nazaha. So I'm concerned to know that purity or cleanliness, that's the meaning of Taharah. Or they say did najasa, or it is opposite of something which is impure. That's concerning Taharah linguistically. As for Taharah, shar'an, according to the ulama, the fuqaha, that they have mentioned regarding Taharah, irtifa al-hadath was zawal al-najasa. So concerning that, what is meant shar'an, according to the ulama of the fuqaha, that it means concerning irtifa, the person removing, the person coming out of a state of religious impurity to a state of religious purity by the use of water, which is performing wudu or ghusl or tayammum. So that's concerning a person irtifa raf al-hadath, and also zawal al-khabath, where the person or najasa, the person moving away things of impurity, which is the removing of things of impurity. So that's concerning what is meant by Tahara. That is what is meant by Tahara. In this hadith that they mention regarding, as for Tahara, that as mentioned in hadith, that the ulama regarding how they have classified regarding ma, that they place it into, amongst the ulama they differ also regarding classifying of water, of are things regarding so of water that they mention, so classifying of water, miyah, of water which are all to be ma, tahur, water which is pure, mutlaqan, which is completely pure water, and that concern that will be river, ocean, and the likes, in our time tap water. So water they mention of that type, it is pure water. That water is said to be pure, it can be used for, that water itself is pure within itself, and also can be used to purify other things. So it is pure within itself, and also can be used to purify other things. The second type of water they mention, which is tahir, water which is tahir, which is it is pure within itself, but cannot be used to purify other things. So they refer to that type, that second type, as being tahir, pure within itself, but not pure to purify other things. They say that water sometimes it may be that something else may be added to it that is also pure. So it's not, so it is pure, but because there is something else attached to it, so it is not able to purify other things. They call it tahir. And the third category I mention is ma and najas. So ma and najas, which is that water is now impure. So impure in the sense that it has been contaminated by something which is impure. So if it has not been contaminated by something which is impure, that water now becomes impure and cannot be used for the form of purification. So that's concerning, and that's the call of Jumhur of the ulama, that they classify water into those three categories: tahur, tahir, and najas. And that's concerning the bulk of the ulama, majority of the ulama, amongst the madhab al-arba. So across the board of the madhab al-arba, amongst the Maliki, amongst the Ahnaf, those of Abu Hanifa, Nu'man ibn Thabit, also the Malikiyya, the Shafi'iyya, and the Hanabila. So most of the ulama, Jumhur of the ulama, that they classify water into those three categories. Of the ulama who categorize water into two categories. Amongst the ulama, those who categorize water into two categories. And they mention that water, those two categories, that they are: one, ma, tahur, water which is pure, and water which is najis. So let's see water as tahur, water which is pure, and water which is najis. So water which is pure can be used, it is pure within itself, and also can be used to purify anything else. So they mentioned that water is, that's one category, and the opposite, the other category is opposite with the water that cannot be used for purification, which is najis. And that's a view that is taken by, there's a narration, Imam Ahmed, that is of that view that water is in those two categories. Also some of the Hanafiya also of that view, and also of those who are inclined or those who have chosen this view, Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, also Ibn Qayyim al-Jawzi, and also of contemporary, that Shaykh al-Sa'di, also Shaykh bin Baz, and Ibn Uthaymeen, who are of that view. So all of those ulama or of that view regarding that water is of two categories, and Allahu Alam, that seems this order to be the correct view. So that's concerning purification of water. Also, they mention concerning that water being pure, or regarding concerning that water. So water, they mention the asl of water is that it's pure. So the origins of water, whether water from the sky or from the earth, then the origin that it is pure. So that concerning that water, that is ruling by origins, that it is pure until there's something to say otherwise. As for water is considered to be pure, which would be the water of the ocean, spring water, sea water, river water, pond water, all of these are pure water. Also from which are land, also water from that comes down, would be rainwater, hail, and other forms. So all those are snow. So all these are said to be pure water. They are said to be pure water and can be used. So for example, the person have snow that is falling down, if the person was to gather it, and then it is melted, it can be used for purification. So that's concerning water in general that is said to be pure. So that's concerning that matter. So the hadith here, regarding the meaning of the hadith, as he stated, the hadith concerning that the hadith mentioned, huwa tahur, ma'uhu, the water is pure, meaning concerning water of the ocean, hillu maytatuhu, that regarding concern that the ocean is pure, regarding that can be used to perform wudu and ghusl, and also can be used to remove things of impurity and to clean off things of impurity. So that's true, that's not that concerning the water of the ocean. And also it mentioned hillu maytatuhu, that the animal of the ocean, that also that they are permitted to be eaten without them being slaughtered if they are animals of the ocean, and we'll discuss that further. As for the hadith, that it is mentioned here regarding that what has been said by the importance of this hadith, Imam Shafi rahimahullah has mentioned, that I mentioned regarding هذا hadith نفس العلم الطهارة. Imam Shafi rahimahullah, he mentioned هذا hadith نفس العلم الطهارة. This hadith, it is after knowledge of Taharah. Also Ibn Mulakin rahimahullah mentioned هذا hadith حديث عظيم. That this hadith is something of importance, great importance. أصل من أصول Taharah. And it's the asl, one of the foundation of Taharah. مشتمل على أحكام كثيرة. And also it consists of many ahkam. والقواعد مهمة, and also of great principles can be taken from this particular hadith. So it shows regarding the importance of this particular hadith. So that's what it said. Also what can be taken from this hadith in general, as for the general ahkam, that one, the hadith, they show that the water of the ocean, it is pure. As the hadith clearly states, that the water of the ocean, it is pure. And that's the view taken by, as we'll discuss concerning that matter. But the Jamia, they find that is the view taken by most of the ulama. That's the view taken by the majority of the ulama, who are of that view that the water of the ocean, it is pure. As mentioned, Jamia al-ulama, as mentioned here, Jamia, all the ulama is of that view. Also, it shows from this hadith that a person can use the water of the ocean to purify themselves regarding performing wudu or ghusl. So the water of the ocean, so even the water of the ocean, it has some, so that's concerning that particular matter. Also, so it can be used to wash the person's body, the clothing, person's vessels. So it can be used as a form of purification. Also from the hadith, it shows regard as it is known that water of the ocean, that it is salty. It is salty in its taste. So some change in its taste from the water we may get from the tap. So they mentioned regarding concern that, and even compared to other like river water. So this water of the ocean is normally, it is salty. So they mentioned this taghayyur, this change of the taste of the water, slight change of the taste of the water, that by something which is pure, still the water remains pure. So the fact that it has been changed by either by the smell or by way of the taste or by way of the color, by something which is pure itself, then the water still remain pure. So the ocean water, because of the taste and also the smell, it is the change is by something which is pure, so the water remain pure. And also these large body of water, then they remain pure. Those large body of water, that they remain pure, such as the ocean and rivers and the likes. Also from the hadith it shows regarding that a person who travels, he doesn't need to carry water separately for wudu. He doesn't need to carry water separately for wudu. So that is not something that is needed to be done. Also it shows regarding concerning that the animals of the ocean, that are of the animals of the ocean, they cannot live except outside the oceans. So they cannot live except in the ocean. If they are removed from the ocean or from the sea, they'll die. Those animals who live in the ocean, if they are removed from the ocean, then they will die. Those animals that if they are found deceased, that they can be eaten without being slaughtered. So they don't have to go to the process of being slaughtering. So if they are found dead, they can be eaten. And if they are left, taken from the ocean and be left somewhere underground, and they eventually and they die, then also they are halal to be eaten regarding the animals who live in the ocean. If they were to be removed, they'll die. As we know, some animals that they're able to live both on land and also in the sea. Those are those are different. Then also they mentioned regarding concerning that with this particular hadith of those benefit, that it showed that the permissibility for the use concern a person traveling on the ocean, whether for Taharah, whether the person traveling for the sake of for travel for ibadah, for Hajj, and you have to go by ocean. So traveling the ocean, there's nothing wrong for a person to travel upon the ocean. And that's the qawl of the ulama regarding that particular matter, regarding the general fawaid that can be taken upon the jawaz rukub al-bahr, the permissibility of traveling upon the ocean, lil tijara or lil hajj or umrah or jihad, all those ways of traveling upon the ocean, it is allowed. Also of those points that we'll mention regarding the hadith, that as the hadith mentioned, they mentioned there's a sabab behind the hadith, that there's a sabab, a reason behind this particular hadith, where the hadith in its meaning, as the ulama clarify, that they mentioned that the hadith did kind of somewhat it state regarding that there was a reason behind this hadith, that there was a reason behind this particular hadith. And the reason behind the hadith, where the Prophet mentioned the hadith, that mentioned that at the narration mentioned that a person asked the Prophet Islam that were traveled upon the ocean and that they didn't have sufficient water. If they drank from it, then they would have enough for them to perform wudu. Can they perform wudu from Mahal al-Bar? And Islam, he mentioned what he mentioned. So from that, they mentioned that the sabab behind the hadith, the sabab behind that particular hadith, regarding the companions, some of the that they were those who were traveling upon the ocean, and they wanted to know regarding is it sufficient for them to use the water from the ocean. So that's concerning the sabab behind this particular hadith. So as I said, as I mentioned, so sometimes there's a sabab, a reason behind the hadith, when those individuals were traveled upon the ocean and they wanted to know regarding that the use of the water of the ocean. So Islam clarifies that it is something that can be used as a form of purification. Can be used as a form of purification. So with this, a discussion between the ulama as to, one, who is this person that asked this question? Who is the person who asked the question? There's a khilaf between the ulama as to the person name who asked the question, but they mention the person that is from Bani Mudlij. From Bani Mudlij. So from this tribe that were named Mudlij, that they were the ones who, from the narration of Ibn Abi Shaybah that mentioned Mudlij, so the person was from those people. And some narration mentioned that as to specify his name. So you have a discussion between the ulama regarding what his exact name, but they mentioned the person was Mubham, a person was not mentioned. Some narration mentioned from Bani Mudlij. As for the person, you have a different discussion regarding what the person's name was, regarding the person who asked this question, what his name was, Abdullah, Ubaid, and the likes that were put forward regarding his name, but a discussion between ulama regarding the person. But overall, they mentioned that if the hadith, in the hadith, the person, in the matan of the hadith, a person's name was not mentioned, then this does not harm the hadith. If the person's name was not mentioned in the matan of the hadith, in the text of the hadith, it does not harm the hadith. But if it is not mentioned in the sanad of the hadith, then that's where there's a matter that needs to be investigated more in detail. So regarding concern the next matter, regarding this particular hadith, that they mention regarding a discussion between the ulama regarding this hadith, regarding that a discussion regarding hukum ma al-bar. What's the hukum regarding the water of the ocean? Amatul ulama, based when they mentioned the water of the ocean, it is something which is tahur. It is something which is pure, and a person can make wudu from it and ghusl and wash. So amatul ulama take the view that the water of the ocean is pure. But we find so that's concerning, and that's mentioned by Ibn Qudama, Ibn Munzir in his book al-Awsat. But we find that there's some narration mentioned upon Ibn Umar and also Abdullah ibn Amr ibn As. So from those two Sahabiyan, Abdullah ibn Umar wa Abdullah ibn Amr ibn As, that take the position regarding that it's not to be used for Taharah. The ocean is not suitable to be used for Taharah. So that's the view that is taken by those two. And the qawl al-Raji, based upon the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that, and many of the companions also of that view, that the water of the ocean, it is pure. Contrary to what is mentioned by Ibn Umar and also Abdullah ibn Amr ibn As, that it is not the case. So it's been authenticated upon them. So the correct view is that the water, it is pure for the ocean water, it is pure. So that's concerning of those matters that is mentioned regarding concerning this matter, as mentioned by some are mentioned regarding the mention and mahalbar la yujzi min al-wudu, that the water of the ocean, it is not suitable for wudu. But as I mentioned, that the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, then it is taking precedent. So that's concerning of some of the points that relates to the first hadith that is mentioned here regarding water of the ocean. وبالله تعالى توفيق وهذه السبيل والآخرة والحمد لله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.